New questions this morning over two prominent lawmakers' ability to serve. California Senator Dianne Feinstein appearing confused during a committee vote on Thursday. Watch.
It funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
Thank you.
Wow. I think that any of us who has a grandmother who has been in a moment similar to that, probably not so much at stake at the time, but we can understand what was happening. This comes the same week that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell froze mid-sentence during a news conference. The 81-year-old leader said he was okay. There were reports McConnell fell a few times this year, suffering a concussion in March. Let's bring in Niall Stanage, our friend from the Hill. Niall, Feinstein is 90 years old. Her long absence earlier this year prompted some pushback from Democrats to get her to retire early. Will this latest lapse, do you think, cause her team to maybe reconsider that and actually step down ahead of September?
I don't think it will, just because the election to replace her is coming up so quickly. I don't think she's going to step down any sooner than that. There has been talk about Senator Feinstein's mental state for some time, her cognitive faculties. Back in 2020, she asked, for example, exactly the same question to Jack Dorsey, who was then CEO of Twitter, as if she hadn't said the same thing moments before. So things like that have raised questions for a long time. This is obviously an unfortunate incident yesterday, but I don't think it will change her plans.
And, we asked a neurologist what he believes happened with Mitch McConnell when he just stopped talking the other day. Let's watch.
I looked at that, and immediately that looks like a left frontal temporal seizure. I've heard TIA being thrown around, mini stroke, but I can discuss why those are probably less likely in this context. And there are certain movements that if you play that video back, it'll be clear as day once we discuss it. But there are certain features that really make me believe that he had a seizure coming out of the left side of his brain.
So have we received official word, Niall, from McConnell's team?
We have not. Senator McConnell continues to insist that he is fine. There has been no real explanation given in medical terms. They do say he felt lightheaded. Your viewers will have seen the video as we have themselves. Adrienne, doesn't appear to be lightheadedness. It appears to me to be a bit more serious than that. It's quite tough to watch that video of Mitch McConnell freezing, but it certainly raises concerns.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it again. I had to avert my eyes. The New York Times actually reporting that freeze up, along with those recent falls, have opened up a discussion about how much longer he can stay in position as minority leader. Is there a process in place for when someone in his position would be considered unable to do the job or need to step down? What is that like?
That is, I suppose, an informal process where such a person would be told or pressured by colleagues, perhaps more diplomatically told it may be time to leave the stage. Mitch McConnell has been the leader of the Republicans in the Senate since 2007. He was first elected to the Senate in 1984. So obviously that is a long career. He's now 81. We didn't really hear these concerns about Senator McConnell until that fall earlier this year where he suffered a concussion. And obviously this most recent incident deepens those concerns. There are a number of Republicans waiting in the wings. John Thune, perhaps the #2 Republican in the Senate, being the most obvious option to replace Senator McConnell if he did step down from the leadership role.
Why does it feel like all of a sudden in the past few years we're hearing more and more of these issues? I mean, I'm trying to remember back to like my early 20s. I do not recall this many senior leaders of Congress having health issues that are so publicized and often criticized. What happened?
Yeah, I think one reason is that it just happens that the current leadership in Congress is very old. Now, of course, people are living longer and that leads to cognitive issues because people are living into their 80s. There are now 5 US senators who are 80 years or older. That's an age at which these issues tend to present themselves. The other point, Adrienne, I would note is that, maybe even a couple of decades ago, there was less media concentration on these issues. There was sort of a tendency to hide difficulties that senators had, whether they were cognitive or to do with alcohol or other elements of their personal lives. There is less of that sort of clubbable, let's keep this quiet thing goes on in the media now, and we do focus on these matters.
Yeah, that's for sure, in every way. There's far less hiding. You can run, but you can't hide. Niall Stanage, happy Friday.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.